Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Hindsight Podcast. It's a pleasure to have you back. And of course, it's been a month since we actually started this Feels Casty thing. And I was just going to ask IBK how we got here. I was going to run a promo for one of these hailing services, but they haven't paid us money. So we'll just stick with that. We have a reshuffling in many ways. IBK returns the shirt. Of course, the Liverpool man comes in off the back of a nice Carabao Cup final, Wole, and of course, Niyi. Niyi, how was your show this morning? You are on TV on Thursday mornings. Right?
Yeah. Every day. Every day of the week, Monday to Friday, always on TV. And funny enough, I had Kenny on the show today.
Who's Kenny?
The guy that was here now, the
blonde guy trending on.
You don't like anything.
I have a funny story about Kenny, but because he has moved on to greener pastures, I'll not share it. Right?
Yeah, and it was the one that featured us in the magazine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he works with the...
Kenny works with
the downtown wheels.
The downtown. Okay. Kenny, shout outs to Kenny. I've blotted his sins.
Is that
right?
Why?
When I told him that, guy, I wanted to come on my show today, he said, hope I have enough tissue. I was like, for what? He said, because I can't promise you that I won't break down on the show. And Roman Abramovich, Chelsea,
right,
and what have you. And Chelsea fans are crying right now, where they're back in the trenches, with Manchester United and Arsenal.
Yeah, it's an interesting story because IBK, I don't know what the feel thing is on the mainland like, because I know on the island what happens is when there's fuel scarcity, you have queues and the roads are free a bit. But I hear that this traffic has been relentless across Lagos. I don't know if that's been the case.
Well, for my area, I think I have someone that supplies me with fuel and.
IBK, for real?
I'm serious.
Plug me now.
Your engine never knock.
You foul. You want the...
No, plug me. I have a quarter tank at the moment.
No, the thing say, the fuel where they go take bring and come your house. They don't, the fuel where you go need be that. So it's more like saying, it's just like waste of money.
No, what I'm saying is I have a quarter tank in my car. Okay. I can drive down and get the fuel as long as it's 20 liters up. No, 20 liters, no, it's not worth it. I drive a V6. You guys,
that's what I'm saying. 20. They can't give you more than what happens is I think it's between 20 to 30.
30 liters. Yeah. I have a guy in Ikoyi who was supposed to give me fuel. Shout out to FX for plugging me and whatnot. It's funny because Pooja said on Twitter that he was stopped by the police for using his AC. He's like, you use AC doing this?
You did ball,
It has to be the most hilarious thing I heard in the country.
I think the issue with the traffic on the mainland is because of the filling stations along the road.
Along the road.
Yeah.
So before Alakpere, all those areas, you have lots of filling stations. So when you have those places blocked, Stop Milan Bridge will be blocked, and that's the end.
Ripple effect. Ripple effect.
Onekwan, Pangrove, Fade.
Then like you don't do conductor work before.
You have boys,
That's the sequence.
You just call the bus stop as they call.
That's zone now, my zone before.
Then Onekwan and Fade. Then you need to have guys that at the filling station, because if not,
town is even the main
you should be ready to party with 2,000, 5,000 naira for 20 liters or 25 liters that you're going to be getting.
I hear they're selling 350 in some places. But look at us. We're in the first scarcity for at least a month. I think it's the worst I've seen in Nigeria. Honestly, I think it's the most sustained I've seen.
The most sustained, not the worst.
The most sustained, not the worst, because there's fuel in some, pockets of places. But look at us, we're here recording the podcast, and isn't that amazing? That's great, right? It's kind of a strength and an Achilles heel for Nigerians. The fact that we can go through stuff when we should actually, shut some things down, right?
Well, they will tell you in church, whatever you are going through, always give thanks to God.
Yeah, we have so many coping mechanisms. One of it is, for me, I think one of it is Twitter. I go on Twitter and I just have a good laugh, right?
Definitely.
I saw a tweet. Someone said, my girlfriend has traveled to PH, but her phone just connected to Wi-Fi.
I see him like this. My Wi-Fi don't connect with her.
My Wi-Fi don't connect with this baby. This thing. Someone said, someone said, what are you doing at the hotel? But that's it. Look, welcome to the show. Nice to have you back as well. Last week we had a hasty conversation about some of the most underrated players in Europe's top leagues. And I was watching the clip back and I realized that I didn't quite do my guy justice. I mentioned Thomas Tuchel as one of the most underrated players. And I forgot to mention Son Heung-min. And someone mentioned to me yesterday while I was doing the prep that Son Heung-min is not underrated. I think he's very underrated. I think, he's not the guy you hear for his quality. I think he's in the brackets of world class easily. but doesn't always come off that way. But that's not even the point.
Because he plays for sports, anyways.
In the last week, Pep Guardiola has spoken about a couple of things, and something I found quite interesting. I wanted to pick your brains as to what he was saying. He was responding to a question basically about Jack Grealish's stats this season compared to the previous seasons, in which, of course, they're well down on what he had at Aston Villa and whatnot. And this is probably a thought that I've had, but I think it took Pep to say it for me to take a bit more, a closer look into the stats. He said there are players that make the team play good, but are not in the stats. The players today, they play for the stats, and this is the biggest mistake they can make. We're involved in that, and that's all of us, I have to say, right? Stats is just a pattern of information that we have. The players play to show how many goals I have, how many assists I have. Mm-hmm. This is a problem in the real world and in football. I find that basically we have an unhealthy obsession with statistics. Someone mentioned, back in the day that I think what a football manager mentioned, that stats is like a laundry. It shows you what you need to see and covers, the most important things. But it brought me to the topic statistics versus influence of a player or the importance of a player into the team. So before the League Cup final, for example, Thiago, I keep saying Thiago Silva every time. Thiago, Liverpool guy, dropped out of the team, right? Due to injury. And I was reading an article, I think Gab Bakote said, Thiago is irreplaceable for what he does for Liverpool, but that's not to say he's indispensable, right? But there are players, surely, that make the team play better, that don't necessarily fall into the stats, right? I think that the advent of social media has also not helped a bit. The explosion of information, data collection, and whatnot.
Most of these Opta guys and
go back 15 years ago.
I think the easiest way to compare players, which we are obsessed with anyways, for instance, Ronaldo, Messi, is to use statistics. Nobody wants to say, oh, did you watch this game where they played well? Nobody is using eye test. Most people use statistics. So it's the easiest thing to use to compare players. That's why we're obsessed with it.
I think the frequency of such players, the ones that don't necessarily get into the stats, has also dwindled a bit. So you have more players now who are in the team solely because of what the stats say. Right? Mm-hmm. And I find that to be a problem.
And there's always pressure on the managers. When you see journalists interview managers and they read out, that's why I love Mourinho, they read out the stats for a manager, telling that this player has scored 5 goals in the last 6 games, and all of a sudden you dropped him. Why? But
I trained the player, so I can tell.
And that's I like coaches like Mourinho, they will tell you that he will give you his own counter stats to let you know that he's also following up with the team. Whoever I want to play, that's how it should be. Benzema still spoke about what Guardiola said. That was, I think, last month.
Yeah.
He said it's so sad that, people don't really watch games anymore.
A player can play a game, have a bad game for 89 minutes, scores one goal.
Scores one goal and you see man of the match already.
And he doesn't want to be that kind of player.
He said
and to be honest, if I played football, I wouldn't want to be that kind of player.
That's why you see players like Benzema, you being a number 9, they do more than just... I was talking to a friend, I said that Benzema is someone that when he's 36, he will still be playing well because he's someone that plays more like a midfielder. He comes... He supports the attack. He supports the transition of the attack, not just someone who will stay, in the box, be expecting ball and all those things. He understands the basic part of football. Passing the ball, holding on to the ball, link up play and things like that. So you can't see these things in stats.
It's funny because you touch on a great point because Pep also mentioned for him, it's how you perform, how you play on the match day, how you help your teammate, how you prepare for the game, how you help in the defensive and offensive transitions, like you mentioned. I think that, maybe, obviously social media has helped, to amplify, player profiles and, of course, the advent of Opta since they started keeping data, the transfer market, Squawka, who scored, all this important, player index websites. Yeah. But I think we're at a point now where it's becoming counterintuitive, right? Because, for example, a player like Park Ji-sung, and I use his example a lot, would not probably not have a place in the modern game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Probably wouldn't have a place in the modern game, and you can mention off the top of your head
I think Willian also
a
suffered
guy like
that.
Willian. I think Firmino probably would not have a place in the modern game.
Bernardo
I think
Silva-
that Firmino and Co are just the dying breed of those kind of players.
Yeah.
That they don't care. Wayne Rooney, one of the greatest players to play in the last 25 years, probably would not be a superstar today.
Yeah, because he barely had 30 goals every season. He barely
Drogba,
had, yeah.
Drogba is dragged on Twitter every other week.
Drogba is even the worst.
Every other
They
week
drag
for
him.
his
Yeah,
goal
yeah.
scoring. But you have to say that if you watch the game, I watch the game, you watch the game, I could not exchange Drogba for any other striker in the world.
Definitely.
But
I cannot.
now,
Two people that come to mind. Sorry to cut you.
Yeah.
When you mention these are Bernardo Silva and Mateo
Exactly.
Kovacic.
I was
See,
just going to
I will
Bernardo
not.
Silva.
I will not swap anybody, any CM now for Kovacic.
It took Kovacic
Because it reminds
almost
me
a
of how
year
Iniesta
to get
and
one
Xavi
goal.
were
Yeah.
in their peak
a
period.
funny guy is sorry, not funny guy. Another guy who I like to include is Fabinho, right?
Yeah.
Fabinho is a player. He plays. You think he's not there. You take him out of the team disintegrates.
Oh,
Even Busquets.
Yeah.
Sergio Busquets as well. You don't see stats. You can't see number of. Yes, there are number of interceptions,
Probably
but
passes and
what? Yeah, the confidence. You see when he plays at the back, shielding the back four. Trying to hold on to the player and all. You can't see that.
The
in stats.
calming effect they exude
And
on the rest of the team.
And the
Exactly,
worst thing now is when you
exactly.
now start counting stats for defenders. Like that's like the worst.
It's like a heartbeat.
interceptions.
I read an
tackles.
article on Premier League teams, and I think about 3-4 teams stopped. I think Leeds City as well, Leeds United. I think they stopped their players from playing the that fantasy football league. They said it is really affecting,
Okay.
the mentality of the players.
Yeah.
You see a defender, always want to make
Yeah, I remember Bamford interview.
a statistical
Yeah.
impact, like crosses the ball, gets an assist. You see a player telling you that, don't worry, captain me, I'm going to get a goal and all these things.
Yeah.
Bielsa has to tell his players that, I don't know, maybe that's why they are even relegated this season anyways. It's a 2-18. He told his players that they should, none of them should play the FPL.
I think
Yeah.
Mikel was the same for Chelsea as well.
Yeah, Mikel.
There are players who
Claudio Makelele.
they set the tempo of the team.
Of the team.
And that can be a
goals.
passive thing to say. But in high profile games, the players who tune the mood of the team, who can tell everybody, look, we're going to string for the next 10 minutes, we're going to string 8 passes. For the next 8 minutes, we're going to string passes together. Control the game.
Yeah.
Pele, for example, I don't think Pele would have a bona fide place in the game today
Yeah.
because of how he plays. So, for example, a guy like Rodri.
Rodri.
At City, right?
Yeah.
City.
You watch him play and you can tell that
You can even bring Pedri into the conversation.
no, I will talk about Pedri in just a bit. But I was actually going to say Fernandinho. I think if he plays Champions League final against Chelsea,
Do that one.
they probably win.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think they win. If you watch the transition,
That pass
for the
from
goal,
Mount to he would have stopped it.
I mean, so
Mount
so
probably.
so
It's
we're
not
in
about-
the
the work
we're
of
now
the
in
work of
the
a GM is interceptions, basically.
We're now in the territory of ifs and nots, right? But I think that Mount doesn't occupy that place, because he knows that Fernandinho is in that area. The fact that they play without a player like that in that game, right?
Yeah.
No, they didn't even play Rodri in that match.
No, there was no
they
DM.
didn't play
There was
Rodri.
no
They didn't
DM.
play
They
with
played
DM.
Gundogan.
There was no
Right.
DM.
Yeah.
But Fernandinho, in my opinion, one of the most important players to City's dominance over those years.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
And I find it counterintuitive that players like that. Matuidi.
Casemiro said it.
Oh, yeah,
said it
brilliant.
last week. He said that if you look at the way Madrid plays, that people will see Ronaldo. They will see most of these front guys, but he said that the person that actually controls the play of Madrid is Toni Kroos.
Yeah, Toni Kroos.
He said when Toni Kroos does not play well, when the transition is not coming through him, it's always very difficult because this is someone that can send long passes. This is someone that can send short passes. This is someone that can send defense splitting passes. This is someone that can practically, tell you that, okay, I want the ball to go to this place and it to go. Just like when Paul Scholes to us, was a player.
Xabi Alonso.
Yeah, these are players that you will not see their
Actually, have to come close
stats.
to the mic.
Opta will not tell you that Toni Kroos sent 5 defense splitting passes. They will not tell you that. They will only say complete passes. And bro, complete passes can be from here I pass to Yubby. This is a complete pass.
Yeah.
You can't see that with Opta.
I think we're all obsessed with stats.
Yeah.
I think a guy like Matuidi, for example,
Blaise
doesn't get
Matuidi,
mentioned
fantastic
a
player.
lot.
Yeah.
But I think one of the best.
I love that guy.
One of the most. I don't swap him for anybody. Aside Kante.
One of the most
I
instrumental
love that
for
guy.
France
Yeah.
at the World
I
Cup.
think I said Kante.
Very.
Yeah.
I think that
in the
Kante
midfield
for
and
France.
himself are the reason Pogba played well for France.
Yeah.
I keep telling people, look, people
They do
say-
the hard work.
No, they do all the work. They do all
Yeah.
the work. I don't think there's a player that goes up and down the pitch like Matuidi. It's the energy he has. But players like I don't get mentioned. Di Maria, for example. Also.
Even Vidal at his peak, Arturo Vidal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Vidal
think I can
scored a couple
agree
of
with
goals,
that.
but yeah.
Yeah, I think I can agree
Sort of
with
falls
that
in that
also.
category. The great AC Milan teams, if you remember,
Yeah.
the great AC Milan teams had a bunch of players like that.
Gattuso,
You know,
yeah,
Ambrosini,
Ambrosini,
Smisser,
Smisa, Clarence Seedorf.
They weren't going to stand out from a statistical point of view.
No.
But if you took them out of the team, you miss an enforcer.
Yes, definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
Ambrosini was an enforcer where he was.
Yeah.
For sure. And I find that, the football that's played in the last 5 years, where social media has become very strong, Fantasy Premier League, what other game is there? FIFA players
Yeah.
actually get pissed when they see their ratings on FIFA.
Scorecard,
The scorecard.
Lukaku has tweeted at them before that.
Yeah.
Come on, I can run more than what you
get?
what you give
You get?
me.
I'm like-
even Rudiger as well. Rudiger was like, come, I can run more than this. You can't be giving me this.
And
these are things that back then Zidane does not
What's his
care about
business?
what FIFA gives you.
Share
He
go
does not-
share will meet you on pitch.
As
Share
in,
will meet you on the pitch,
what's
and you
my
will
own
show me
with?
if you're better than
you
me.
get what's my own
Exactly.
with? I'm
Exactly.
playing with this thing. I'm giving scorecard every week.
I
think
but,
it's-
but I think that
But is there any solution to it, Yubby?
No.
No. I think that managers like Pep, obviously, are the boneheaded managers. The strong-headed managers are the ones that go counter the stats, because the stats is, we have also like a role in amplifying the stats, and that's a fault of ours as well, the fans as well. But I think the managers who do it best are the ones that go counterintuitive. Ferguson, for example, said often at times, we had a Champions League game in 2 weeks. I called Darren Fletcher, I called Park Ji-sung, and told them, you're not going to play today and tomorrow, but be ready for AC Milan, you're going to play.
Yeah.
Right? The best managers always knew the players that worked for the team, as opposed to, because players go into
Against a particular opponent.
Against a particular opponent. And in the biggest games is when you
Biggest
know
games, yeah.
the manager's best players. Right? So, for example,
This guy that played for Man United that loves Arsenal, I was reading his interview and he said Ferguson called him and said, I know how much you hate Arsenal. What was his name again? This Brazilian Anderson. Go and read this. He said Ferguson called him and told him, I know how much you hate Arsenal. And that's why you have to play against them or more. He said for a coach to even come and tell you that this is someone that start does not even show. People will tell you that you shouldn't be in that team, you shouldn't be in that
Yeah,
sector.
at the time,
Anderson?
People will tell you.
the Brazilian Anderson?
Yeah, they will tell you that you shouldn't be in that squad. The squad, let's not lie, that squad
they
was
call him a
actually-
Yahoo boy.
That squad was
No, Anderson was a
big.
really good player.
It was really good, but the statistics, just
No,
like
of
what we are
course, the
saying,
stats, that
yes,
time,
it
the
doesn't
stats
show
were...
for it.
Carrick, for example, people kept asking Fergie,
Why
at
do you
the
play
early
this guy?
time, why do you play Carrick?
Yeah,
Why do you play Carrick?
at the early time, yeah.
But it was later when the game started transitioning, and of course, Barca did what it did in Spain,
Yeah.
and English realized that the
Control.
only player that we have
That
close
can
to,
control
Yeah.
the midfield.
Yeah.
Spanish guy.
is Michael Carrick.
Michael Carrick.
Yeah.
But Marcos Senna, for example, for Spain. I don't think Spain win that first Euros
legend.
without him.
Without him.
Yeah, I love
no.
that guy.
Yeah.
You get? I don't think they do. That's a play. A guy like what's his name? What's his name? Riquelme, for example.
Requirement.
Yeah,
Argentine requirement.
That is, oh my
Lariat.
god, that's a god. Like a player like that doesn't get mentioned.
Yeah,
Today.
if you ask most of these guys that watch football, I'm sure they won't know requirement.
They can't know him.
They can't requirement.
You
Come on,
understand?
how those
but,
guys play
but it is
ball.
what it is. It is what it is.
Those guys
I
play
found
ball.
I found that very interesting from Pep, and I thought we should speak about it today as well.
Always a pleasure to have you on the Hindsight Podcast. Subscribe, like, comment. We'd just like to have your thoughts shared on the Hindsight Podcast. It's great fun for us recording this one, and we also love to hear from you as well. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for your messages, your comments. See you again in the next episode.